Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Ratio Podcast. I am... Why are you looking at me like that?
Wait, what? What? Expectantly? Just waiting for you to finish.
I am Jen, GR Mom, joined for the second time within 24 hours by GR Dad.
Hi.
Hi, GR Dad. We podcasted last night. Was it the best podcast we've ever recorded?
It was pretty good. I think we did. Especially I did a good job.
We recorded the podcast. Let me just say, I've been traveling for 4 days. I got up and caught the 5:30 a.m. flight from Boston back to the Keys. You didn't wake up at 5:30. The flight left at 5:30, which is ridiculous. Why did they even offer that? I was on 2.5 hours of sleep.
That's stupid.
Dear Dad is like, we have to podcast tonight. We have to podcast tonight. Thursday. And I was like, oh, fine. So we podcasted. But I was not up to my usual professional standards. And the one thing I forgot to do that I do religiously every other time we podcast was make sure it was recording both microphones. So I went to edit it in with the intro and outro music. It was just me.
It's very sus. Very suspicious that my microphone got cut out after the incident the week before where my microphone got disconnected strangely.
Yeah, but
all of a sudden the microphone's disconnected for the entire episode. I see a pattern here and it's not pretty.
The accidental cut off the week before stopped you from telling a boring story.
Yeah, and then you were just like, oh, everything he says is boring. I'm just going to mute his mic the whole time.
If I felt that way, I would have just released the podcast with your voice very far in the background. But no, now I'm here re-recording this stupid podcast.
Because you got caught.
Honestly, it wasn't that good yesterday, so maybe it'll be better today.
Well, you found a way to improve it by taking my voice out.
The cocktail of the week, as it was yesterday, is the Mocha Chocolate Yaya.
No one was there yesterday. You can't keep referring to yesterday's quote-unquote podcast.
I'm sorry.
It was only in your mind.
Are you telling me that I'm saying things that are boring?
No, just nonsensical for the listeners out there.
Mocha Chocolate Yaya. That's
Mocha Chocolate Yaya. I think that's from Moulin Rouge or something.
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Kitchi, kitchi, ya, 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 ya.
See, that's what I was thinking. The kitchi, kitchi, ya, 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 ya.
The Mocha Chocolate Yaya, which, again, I picked just for the name.
It's good.
Vodka, Irish cream, coffee liqueur, chocolate liqueur, milk, and single cream. You just mix that all up.
Sounds like I would say a dessert drink.
Delish.
Uh-huh.
Delish. All right. Let me just pull up my very brief notes here. Oh, we do have an administrative corner, which is interesting because we didn't have it last night.
I just kind of asked you about it in the middle, and there were administrative things.
Were there yesterday?
Always. There are always administrative.
I don't think we did any.
That's why I like it.
Well, anyway, we have some now, which is Cameo is doing a thing where Cameo is donating 20% of their money from any cameos that you buy to Ukraine. And then we are also more than matching that. So we're donating 25% of whatever we make from cameos to Ukraine. What's the name of the thing? Love, care.
Good love. Food, love.
Crap. Hang on. I'm pulling it up. So it's all going to a charity, which Choose Love. Is the charity. It's a UK-based charity that supports refugees. And so obviously they're doing a lot for Ukrainian refugees. And so if you buy a cameo from us next week, a big chunk is going to go to Choose Love because from the portion that Cameo takes and the portion that we get, 20+% is going to them.
Yeah. If anyone wants a St. Patrick's cameo, maybe we'll paint one of the dogs green, although I'm not making any promises.
We absolutely will not paint any of the dogs green.
This is why I couldn't make any promises. How about a little bit of green?
You could use a filter. How about a green filter?
We'll talk about it.
We actually, so
St. Patrick had it like a mohawk, a
multicolored
mohawk.
I was just thinking we painted St. Patrick's mohawk. So I still have those things. They're little
chalky
combs that it's just chalk. Yeah, so we could Voods green. There's a green one. Okay.
That leprechaun retriever is a breed of dog for St. Patrick's Day.
As long as you promise to wash him afterwards.
Oh yeah, totally.
Fine.
Oh yeah, I'll give him a rubber ducky. We'll have a little bathtub. It'll be the thing.
Speaking of, our bathroom is not even close to done, you guys. It's all red right now.
It looks like Moulin Rouge.
Yeah, bathroom rouge.
It's all very sensual.
They use 2 coats of this gloop, as GR Dad would say. It's a word you use a lot, gloop, of this stuff that they paint on, and it waterproofs everything. So it's the entire floor, all the walls are painted with this red, 2 coats of this red waterproofing stuff. So
It smells very chemically.
yeah, I mean, it's better
maybe
now.
it's like liquid rubber or something.
It,
It's something
it seems
like
kind of like that, but then the idea is that like if you like we're gonna wash the dogs in that bathroom if we have to do any upstairs washings, and so like if you wash the dogs, they get out, they shake, they drip all over the floor. It's not gonna do anything to the subfloor. It's never gonna get to it because there's waterproofing on it.
occasionally, apparently caulk is not actually waterproof. It just delays the water. But if it's like, it'll eventually, moisture will come through.
Yep, and nothing will happen.
As the contractor said, you could like throw a bucket of water in there after this red stuff's in there and it'll all just stay right there.
You can still see light through the walls.
There might be some problem with this theory of the bucket of water. I probably wouldn't do it.
The house is elevated, right? So like they're replacing parts of the subfloor, but they're eventually going to fix that part, I hope. But you can see under the house if there's any little gaps.
While they were working on it, like a foot would be hanging out at the bottom. You'd be walking, park the car under the house, and look up, and there's a foot hanging out of there.
No. Anyway, they're doing a lot of other stuff to the house. We're getting new lighting. We're getting ceilings fixed. We're getting doors replaced. So they're still going to be here for a while.
Let me just whine that we've had people in the house building stuff for 2 months now.
Over 2 months since the beginning of
the year, and now it is mid-March.
Yeah.
Seasons change. We still have people in the freaking house messing with stuff.
Someday.
I wouldn't even say being that constructive, just messing with stuff.
All right, so that's ramblings. All right, dog updates.
That's administrative. That was the administrative.
No, the bathroom
corner.
we moved on from administrative corner to ramblings. It is a section in my notes file.
Ramblings?
Stuff that we ramble about that's not dog related.
Everything is dog related. You said we're going to wash the dogs in there.
I mean, fair enough. All right, dog updates. There are not many dog updates this week.
Oh, my goodness.
We just, I think, have foods in the toilet paper.
They snowball.
All right, so foods in many non-foods.
Yeah.
All right, so we raised up our toilet paper holder.
Food's not winning any awards this week.
No.
You can.
He could.
No. Of what? Most
People's
eatings?
Choice?
Most eating? People's Choice is true. We don't control that.
The People's Choice. Let's see. Oh no, he's definitely not going to win that. I'm looking at the poll. There's 47 minutes left, and he's way behind.
Because he's a nightmare.
He's not in last place. Remy's in last right now.
Oh, Remy. I'll vote for you.
CBGB has 41% of the vote.
I'll vote for you, Remy.
You better get it in the next 47 minutes.
I'll also buy a T-shirt.
So anyway, we raised our toilet paper holder up because Boots was eating the toilet paper off the roll.
And there was a brief period of pride that we'd foiled Boots.
Yeah, so you have to kind of reach up now to get the toilet paper.
Yeah.
And I was gone, and then Ingo sends me a video of Boots, and he has taken a full-on chunk out of the raised up. Now when I raised it up, we finally, because we kept trying to keep the door closed, which neither of us could remember to do. So he'd always get in there. So I raise up the toilet paper holder. I put the toilet paper in it. The door is open. And I watch Boots walk in, which he does all the time. He walks in and he very slowly puts his head where the other one was. And he's like, there's nothing here now. And then he looks up.
It was very dramatic.
And he kind of tapped his front leg, stuck his little head up. He's like, I can't reach that. No, I can't reach that. And I was like, yes, he can't reach it.
He was tricking us the whole time. He was, what did they say? Sandbagging. He was
Gaslighting.
Gaslighting.
Anyway, somehow we didn't catch him in the act. I mean, you caught him with toilet paper in his mouth, and there was toilet paper ripped off the roll. Like, he clearly got it. We just didn't see him get the ups for it.
Yeah, just the visual is because he doesn't unroll the toilet paper roll primarily to like just eat the sheets and like he's done that too, but he'll just basically, he would prefer to just walk up and eat the whole roll like an apple.
Exactly.
Like he just takes big shark-like bites, and there's just like, you find the roll sometimes, and there's just big holes out of the middle, so that every sheet has the middle missing, so the whole roll is invalidated. If he just unrolled a few feet and ate those, it would be one thing, but he just destroys rolls.
Yeah. So there are a few more solutions. I bought this thing that 100% would work. So it's kind of like a cylinder, and it's stainless steel on the outside round part, and I think plexiglass on the sides.
Container for the toilet
Yeah,
paper
and like
roll.
the lid lifts up, and you put a roll in there, and you can pull a toilet paper out, and it just kind of rolls around. But it's too small to hold a mega roll, which is the only thing you can buy at the store now. Why the hell they don't make a bigger one? I mean, the Amazon complaints are like, it's great, but it doesn't hold a mega roll. So you got to pull like a whole bunch of the toilet paper off.
Oh, that's not happening.
I know, but then the other option is like we can build a little cabinet. Somebody
Build a cabinet.
tweeted at us today.
Yes.
They have a little cabinet with a little door.
Yes,
in
my
their
parents have
bathroom.
one of those in Germany for the guest bathroom,
Well,
where you just like pull the paper out through the slot. It's like
we can't have that though, because Voods will pull it out through the slot.
That's true.
We have to have a little door where you open the door, take the roll
It
out.
would still slow
put
him
the roll
down
in.
significantly
It does-
rather than just
He
like
does not care.
taking big bites.
He has all the time.
Nah, sometimes he's like hurrying so
You-
before we catch him.
You didn't see him at the
Oh, he's very
Verbo
sneaky.
house with the toilet paper stretching across
He did.
the room.
He took it through 2 rooms.
Mhm. He's fine stretching it out if he has to.
He has no sense of time. Well, he's like an infant. They always win because that's all they're thinking about all day is like, how do I mess this thing up? How do I get at this? And all day he's thinking, how am I going to get at that toilet paper?
Mm-hmm.
He probably climbed onto something in the bathroom. Like,
There's nothing.
I think he constructed a ladder.
He would have had to have built something.
Well, then he deconstructed it. It's like
Oh my
he saw the Birdman of Alcatraz
Oh my
all of a
God.
sudden.
He could have climbed onto like Brody could have been laying underneath, and then he could have climbed
He's
onto Brody.
He's like, Vink, get in here. Vink, get. And Vink's like, what are we doing? Vink, knock the roll off. Knock the roll off.
So anyway, so he ate that.
Most of it, and some of it was still in his throat when I pulled it out.
Yeah, I do a lot of pulling things out of his throat.
Yes, you do.
I guess over the weekend, Vink had this hot spot. It's finally pretty much better. But I had taken, we have like one of the inflatable donuts, like the cone alternative donut. And I had taken that out of the bin thinking like, maybe I can put that on her. And I had left it on the bin, which was 100% a mistake.
For 2 seconds.
And then
Probably.
he goes like, what's this thing? Is it like a neck pillow for the plane? Which I do not use. And I was like, no, that is the donut. It was the donut because he ate a big chunk out of the inflatable part.
And
but then...
like, the valve.
Mm-hmm.
Like
he puked the valve up, didn't he?
He puked up a lot of that hard plastic, yeah.
So I went for a long run on last Saturday, like a 16-mile long run. And then I didn't run Sunday. I took it easy. And then Monday I left. I was gone Monday through Thursday.
Yes, business.
For work trips. I went to Houston and I went to Worcester, Massachusetts. And so I had like a 9 a.m. flight on Monday. So I didn't run at home all week. I ran on the road.
Right.
But the last time I ran at home was Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And my running outfits I have like running skirts that I wear, little t-shirts, sports bra, and running underpants. They're like athletic underwear because I don't like the stuff that's built in.
I got like the right kind of seams and the right kind of...
It doesn't chafe.
Yeah.
It doesn't ride up. It's the right... Because like you can get skirts that have built-in underwear, but it like doesn't fit me right. It's super uncomfortable. So I just cut it out.
No, you just... Yes.
Take a pair of scissors, cut it off.
You also rip off tags and stuff. I mean,
I cannot stand having a tag.
You're very consistently, consistent about this stuff. You're like, if it's uncomfortable, I'm cutting it off.
Why would I leave it in there?
I don't know, federal law. I don't know. Why do I leave it in there? No good reason.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't function with like a tag in my shirt.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've got running underpants. Now I want to note that the running underpants that I wear, I don't want to give too much information here, but they're discontinued, right? Like I searched and searched. There's all kinds of athletic underwear that's sold, but like getting pairs that like fit right, that don't chafe over, say 100 miles of running.
It's like running shoes. I mean, it's like a good equipment.
You got to find what works for you. And I finally found years ago ones that worked for me, like right as they were being discontinued. I bought every pack I could find of them, but I've got like 10 pairs
So
basically.
you kind of are familiar with each pair, is what you're saying. These are not
And they're
interchangeable.
precious because I can't, like, they're not worn out yet, right? And I only wear them for, an hour at a time, but still, I can't replace them. And I've got some like okay alternatives because I know eventually they will wear out.
This is an ominous introduction. We know where it's going, but it's just sad, sadder and sadder.
They're very important to me. I can't find I've looked on eBay. Does anybody have an unopened 3-pack? No, can't get them anymore. So Saturday I go for a run. I take off my running clothes. I take a shower. I put all the running clothes always in the laundry basket, but somehow this pair made it out. I don't know if I missed it, if it fell out, during laundry time. But Thursday, Dad sends me a picture of Vood's poop with my running underpants in it. I did not take them out and wash them.
No,
they're dead.
I didn't either. Although in hindsight, if I'd known this whole story about your emotional attachment.
No. I'm not that attached.
All right, good.
Pooped out underwear.
He didn't chew it though. He just horked it.
It was whole. They were whole.
Like he's like Jonas in the whale or whatever. He's just like horks things whole. They live on and then they emerge.
I mean, I probably could have sanitized them and worn them again, but I've got more dignity than to wear. He's fine. Don't give in to his manipulative barks, pinto bean.
I think he's just arguing about the eating thing. He's denying the whole thing.
What?
He's like, you didn't DNA test that. It wasn't me. Have you looked at Vank recently? Vank?
So also, when I came home from my trip, Jared Dad picked me up at the airport. I came home, dropped all my bags, said hi to all the dogs. And so the bags were in the living room. And I was like, well, let me take all, everything's filthy.
Because you've gone for runs out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like a 4-day trip, right? So, and I don't pack a lot of clothes. So like I'd been, I had one pair of sweatpants that I'd been wearing for 4 days in the hotel. I'm like, everything needs to be washed. I'm taking out all the clothes, my running clothes, everything that I had worn on the trip, putting it in a pile so I can stick that in the laundry before I put the suitcase away. So I've got I have a little blanket that I use on the plane to stay warm.
Mm-hmm, that's
Great
smart
purchase.
because the planes are cold.
Yeah, it's a Turkish towel, which is a thing that I got sucked into from an Instagram ad once. But they're great. That's also the turquoise stripy thing we have on the porch couch. It's the same thing. It's a Turkish towel. So it's just a really flat weave, really thin, but it's perfect for a plane. I use it all the time. So I take that out first because that's always a mess after all the plane rides. Put all my laundry on it in a little heap. And Vink walks over to a pile of all kinds of skirts and T-shirts and underwear and socks and running clothes. And she
snuffles through it.
She snuffles through it and digs out a sock and then walks away with it. I was like, get back here. Vink, that's my socky, Vink.
Vink, I think we're training her with the snuffle eating that she's even more effective at snuffling now.
Anyway, she didn't get far with it, so the sock survived.
She was very pleased with herself.
Oh, totally.
There's a lot of wagging.
Other than that, her hot spot is healing. No updates on Remy. He's just doing his thing. Guac.
He's continues to reabsorb his eyes cataract.
Guac is doing fine. Hops is doing fine.
Remy almost escaped one more time. He's still
he will always we don't even need to talk about this.
Yeah.
Remy and Guac always maybe gonna think about going over the neighbors.
Guac's getting better. Guac can be distracted because he's so ball focused. If I throw the ball away from the ocean, he runs after the ball. Remy is just I'm gonna sneak in.
He can't see it.
He's getting better at seeing. We can't be tricked by his new vision. He's gonna be like do. I caught him watching Netflix the other day. I mean, the guy can clearly see a little bit.
All right. So anyway, that's it for dog updates. Do you want to do Taste of the Keys or German Word of the Week?
Taste of the Keys.
All right.
Give me a choice.
I mean, you always pick for me to go first.
Yeah.
But I want you to have a choice just in case you're ever excited.
Sure.
Okay. So Taste of the Keys is... Wait, hang on. I have this recipe up that covered my thing up. Okay, here we go. Man arrested for... Oh, yes. You have two choices. Man arrested for impersonating a lawyer in theft case or man arrested for stealing lawn equipment.
Lawn equipment. The lawyer thing is it's too much lawyer and stuff. We already have a bad reputation.
Okay, a 30-year-old Key Largo man was arrested for stealing $3,000 worth of lawn maintenance equipment from a lawn care company.
Ooh.
Fernando was charged with burglary and grand theft. There's a song. Fernando.
It's ABBA. It has nothing to do with lawn equipment theft.
I'm just saying.
It's not the same guy.
Like, it's a highly singable name.
Yeah.
Fernando.
Now it's like dun 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. There's a whole Fernando. It's an ABBA song.
Oh yeah, I can't believe I got it from that really terrible rendition you just sang, but
maybe it's better than you admit.
I guess so. The sheriff's office was notified on January 1st of a burglary at a Key Largo landscaping company in which $3,000 worth of chainsaws were stolen.
That's cool.
Also, hedge trimmers, leaf blowers, and similar equipment, but I like to think of it as just like 20 chainsaws.
You can see like the police photo afterwards where they put all the chainsaws on the table.
Like all lined up.
Yeah, like the guns they usually seize.
Like, you think like, what would somebody do with 20 chainsaws? Like,
I know.
Attach them to like your truck.
Have a fight.
Start them all at the same time.
Have a giant battle.
So they have a thing here in so you have to keep your yard trimmed.
Mm-hmm.
So a thing that surprised me, I think, when we were first looking to rent here, and this is kind of common in Florida, but everywhere in the Keys, is that your yard just comes right up to the street. Like, there's no curbs. Key West has
there's
them.
no sidewalks, no curbs.
No sidewalks, no curbs. Or if there is a sidewalk, it's just like laid down in the middle of some grass. Like, there's no edges to everything. And so all of the yards, I mean, you've seen it in our yard, and it's pretty much everywhere in the Keys and a lot of Florida. It's just like the road ends, and there's like the kind of gravel that is your front yard all the way up to the street. It's something that, like, where I grew up, even though I grew up out in the country, would look kind of real backwoods, right? Like, if you're way out there, you just got the street and then some gravel in your yard.
You got like the mailbox right on the street. Which is kind of weird, yeah. There's no like grass lawn or anything up
no
there.
Edge of it. Yeah, it just looks like
green strip. Yeah.
Yeah. So what that means is that, like, you can have plants that grow into the street, right? You're not supposed to plant that close anymore, but plenty of stuff has been planted and it just gets bigger and it grows into the street. So you have to keep your trees and stuff trimmed so there's not. The street doesn't get taken over.
Yeah, they grow out into the blacktop, and when you drive by, it whacks your car.
Which, like, completely happens, right? There's all these old, abandoned roads down here that are just overgrown with stuff.
Yeah.
So you have to keep it trimmed. And they always, like, people around here always warn, like, you got to be careful. Like, if your stuff starts growing into the power lines or into the street, they're going to come and they just trim it straight across. And where I was like, all right, go ahead, like, cut the 3 fronds off the palm tree, fine. So anyway, crazy neighbor across the street does not maintain, everything over there is falling down. Obviously doesn't maintain her plants that were growing into the street. And I mean, whatever, like, this is not the kind of stuff we care about, right?
No,
like, we wouldn't live in an HOA neighborhood.
Oh, that's the best thing about everywhere we've lived so far is no HOA.
My house in Maryland, when I was like at the closing, there was some HOA disclosure form, and no one had said anything about it. And I was like, is there an HOA? Because if there is, we're not finishing this closing. Like, I 100% would have walked away, not bought the house. But the disclosure was just like, there's no HOA.
That's right.
Yeah. It was my first house, right? So I didn't understand. But I absolutely would not have bought it if there was an HOA. Do not need anybody up in my business.
That's like having hundreds of bad neighbors.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm self-righteous. Just terrible. Anyway. So whatever. She's got, everything over there is a mess. I don't care. As long as she leaves me alone, it's fine. Mm-hmm. Right? But anyway, somebody cared. And the county comes and looks at these things. So they sent a crew out. And what they have is, like, imagine, and this may be precisely what it is, those big, giant, like, industrial lawnmowers that they use, like, when they're mowing medians or...
Yeah, like with the flat surface, like the
big long flat.
Yeah.
And they're like 10 times as wide as like a riding mower, right? Like on the interstate, they use them when they're like mowing the grass on the side or like the middle strip or whatever. So you just go once. It's like one pass, you do the whole thing. All right, so they got one of those. But rotate it, not so the blades are on the ground, but
90
they're up
degrees.
90 degrees. So there's just a wall of spinning lawnmower blades, and they drive along the street next to your house and just like, bzzz, like shave off
It's so violent. It's so violent.
And then they can raise it up because you can't have like high stuff. So they just raise it up and it just shaves everything off. And then somebody comes around and like dumps it all in the...
It was on like a robot arm too,
Yeah.
right? Like you could actually move the thing around and push it out and in. And
Oh, she was pissed.
yeah.
She came out at one point with like a traffic cone and stuck it in front of one of the
Yeah,
trees.
she was doing like civil disobedience.
And then the guys came and they moved her traffic cone and cut the shit down.
I mean, it's just good that there wasn't like a lizard or something in that bush.
I
'cause
mean,
it would have been like, eh.
Anything is dead that's
Eep.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Hope she protected her cats.
anyway, that's a sort of image of what one could do with 20 chainsaws.
Make an awesome machine. You're thinking like Mad Max post-apocalyptic stuff.
That's it. We watched this movie Tread.
It's
a documentary
movie.
Oh my God! If you guys haven't watched it, so it's on Amazon Prime. I think it's free
very
on Amazon Prime.
satisfying movie.
So Tread is about this guy. Is it North Dakota, Colorado, like up there in the plains?
Colorado, I think. Yeah.
And he basically buys a property, and it sounds like there's a kind of bitchy dispute between him and some like slightly more prominent family where this dude wants to do some kind of bullshitty stuff, and they don't want to let him do it, and then it escalates into like the normal kind of things where like someone needs to run a sewer line, and that means you need an easement across somebody's property, and I'm just not going to give you the easement, so you can't have the sewer line connected.
Guys in City Hall, pretty much.
Yeah, but the City Hall guys, it's like a town hall, but it's like a town of like 300 people, right? So it's not like big government. It's just like the 10 dudes who are serving on the town council, and they don't give him a permit for something.
It's like an HOA.
Kind of, but like for bumfuck nowhere, right? I mean, it's the middle of nowhere. Someone wants like a cement factory. It's all a mess. But the dude has growing grievances and hatred, and even though he's losing in court, right? So he takes these guys to court, takes the town to court. He's losing.
He snaps.
And he kind of loses it at some point, right? So he feels like he's been tremendously wronged. But there's
no choice.
There's a thing in it where like there's some kind of property dispute. So his property is adjacent to somebody else, and somebody else wants to do something, and it's gonna cross just some empty part of his land, and he's like, they can have it if they pay me $100,000 for it. And they're like, they battle for a while, and finally they're like, you know what, fine, have $100,000 for it. He's like, now it's $400,000. And I think they even offer him the $400,000. He's like, no, it's going to be like $2 million now, right?
I think it was to buy him out completely so they could have the space for their cement plant or something.
But it's just like,
he was not rational.
You're sympathetic to the guy for a while, because there's some stuff where you're like, like you should probably be allowed to do that. And it's kind of dickish that they're not letting you. But then when he's like, I would have let him have it for $100,000, and they're like, we offered it to him, and then he said it was going to be like 3 times as much, and then we said okay to that, and he said no. Like you're like, oh, you're causing a lot of these problems. So in any case, there's this big escalation, which culminates with him spending a couple years in his garage.
In his big secret garage.
Yeah, it's more like a hangar.
Yep.
Big metal outbuilding.
It's like a barn hangar thing. It's giant.
He builds a tank.
Well, it's a tank.
It's a tank.
Fair enough. It starts as a tractor.
Yes, and then he welds a whole bunch of like steel plates onto it. You can't see out of it. There's no windows. He's got cameras hooked up. It's got like holes for guns on it.
It's got guns.
And he drives through the town destroying buildings. He runs cars over. He runs into buildings and knocks them over.
He takes down like 3 buildings. He crushes buildings, and it's on camera because
they have video of the whole thing.
Because it took like a day.
He's just in there all day, and he's knocking buildings down. There's like helicopter footage. There's ground footage.
They shoot at it. It just bounces off.
Bing,
some
bing,
guy
bing.
I think jumps on at some point, and he's like, "There's no
off.
holes. I don't know what to do."
Yeah, and I think ultimately he gets it stuck somewhere
in one of the buildings he's demolishing. He gets it stuck
because there's a basement. right? I think
that's right.
He doesn't know that there's a basement, so he tries to run the building over, and then, obviously the thing falls through. And he ends up committing suicide inside the tractor. So, I mean, the whole story, like, on one hand is sort of tragic. I mean, it's quite tragic. On the other hand, like, it's batshit crazy.
To have, there's like the entire police department, the SWAT team, everyone.
They're calling in, like, we got a tank.
Circling around this tank, and it's just inexorably moving through the city, destroying stuff, and it cannot be stopped. It's like a force of nature kind of thing.
They try to block it with, like, heavy equipment.
It just runs it over. I mean,
he doesn't care. No, it's more like, I mean, it certainly is engaging to watch, but in the, like, you can't look away and you also can't believe this is happening kind of way.
Yeah.
Because you don't really root for anybody in there. You feel bad for everybody in a different way, but most of the people have kind of probably been dicks.
Nobody acted real well throughout this, like the way they presented anyway. Nobody's really was kind to anyone else.
Yeah.
As was the impression I got away from, which was like, there's no heroes in this.
No, there could have been like some, there's kind of the dude with the tank has talked about, they got a lot of video with him, and then, some of the other people they talked about, and there may be some like lesser players who really did try to be like, can we just have a reasonable solution? And we're not successful because if both sides are going to not engage, then they're not going to engage.
Yeah, I think maybe.
But it's the kind of problem that absolutely could have been solved in a bunch of different ways that didn't have to get to this point if frankly, if even one of the parties was willing to be a little more reasonable. And it seems like both sides were being really unreasonable, and then eventually the one side was like, you know what, let's just solve this problem with money, and then he was like, no,
too late.
Yeah. Like, now you have my wrath. And anyway, that's a thing you should watch.
It's called
Tread.
We've
watched it a few times.
It's one whole movie, right? It's not a series with episodes. It's like one whole thing, probably like 60, 90 minutes.
90 minutes, I think, yeah.
It's very interesting. And especially the video at the end is just
you just see this whole thing. Yeah. So anyway, Fernando did not do anything that dramatic. He just took some chainsaws.
He was probably going to resell it. Yawn. He had no Mad Max apocalyptic
He had
plans.
recently been fired from the company, and he knew their security codes and their key lock boxes.
How did he end up on the list of suspects again?
The owner and several employees stated that he was recently fired, and then an employee stated that Fernando asked him whether the security cameras work on the property, and phone records corroborated that Fernando was in the area at the time of the theft.
I thought he called up and was like, "Hey guys, do your security cameras work?
Yeah.
I left like 2 weeks ago, but I'm just checking in on this." It's not the best heist.
He's not a criminal mastermind.
Not the best heist preparation, I would say.
He was taken to jail.
Oh, good. Yeah, but he chainsawed his way out. Oh, shocker! Turns out he wasn't searched very well.
All right, so there you go. That's Taste of the Keys. You want to do German of the Week? Should I read the poem?
No, we have one more. We should talk about Crocodile.
Crocodile.
Oh my God.
All right, let me pull up next door. All right, so Crocodile's back.
It's totally Taste of the Keys.
No, you are absolutely right.
Anything that happens around here, even though it's actually next door, is Taste of the Keys.
So Crocodile is back.
Or it's still here, right?
Or still here, yeah. So I think they maybe deleted the next door post, which is so funny.
Although the story starts.
Yes, no, it starts
analog.
more analog. Yeah. So one of our neighbors, Peggy, put flyers in everybody's mailbox, including ours. That's like, so Crocodile is here. What are we going to do about the crocodile? I've called Fish and Wildlife. We've got somebody assigned to it.
They weren't taking it seriously enough, and I'm worried, and I've seen it eat a raccoon.
Yeah, so it's been escalated, and here's the person to call, and if we tell them that it's problematic, like, that makes it more likely to do something. Everybody please call.
Folds a piece of paper and puts it in our mailbox and everyone else's mailbox.
Yep.
Right? Yep.
Now, I note only because it's relevant to the story that she misspelled crocodile a couple times. Some places it's spelled correctly, and some places it's spelled with a K.
Like crockpot.
Like CROCK, Odile. Which, whatever. I mean, I read next door.
Not proofread, though.
It's positively literate
She
compared to
printed
most
out
of
hundreds
what's in
of these
Nextdoor.
flyers
Yeah,
and
she
didn't
didn't-
proofread it
I
ahead of time.
But whatever.
Okay. It was in the title.
It was like the big bold title across the top has crocodile spelled wrong. All right. So anyway, she hands these out. Fine. People are clearly worried about the crocodile.
Yeah, it didn't really bother us. I mean, it's like, all right, well, we're not emailing anyone if we see it. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. So so I get an alert then on, Nextdoor. Our Nextdoor is not super busy down here. There's a couple posts a day. The one in our Maryland, there's like 20 posts a day, and it's all the worst of what Nextdoor is.
Yeah, the ones in Maryland are like, I saw someone on the sidewalk who looked suspicious.
Yeah,
Everyone
like
be on the lookout.
Attempted break-in.
So, yeah, I saw a guy just standing out by the stop sign for 20 minutes, so I called the cops.
Yeah, that is what it's like.
Here it's all more like, anyone have a boat for sale? Does
Did anybody know fix a motor?
Yeah, it's all pretty actually constructive stuff.
Yeah. So anyway, so we get this Peggy flyer in the mail, and then I guess that was Thursday. I guess Wednesday it came. So yesterday on Nextdoor, one of our neighbors posed, "Who's going to tell Peggy that much like the crocodiles, mailboxes are also federally protected?" Because I can't believe a neighbor put a flyer in our mailbox. Doesn't she know that only the post office is allowed to put stuff in the mailbox?
It's a federal crime.
And then there's two responses to this. One of them is, all right, so they're just saying Peggy shouldn't be putting stuff in mailboxes. It's federally protected. All right.
Fine.
Thanks, Evelyn. I don't know Evelyn. So there's two responses, and one of them says, I've alerted the feds by email at spelling@iswrong.com. They think they're very funny. It has like 4 likes on it.
Did you like it?
I did not. What a dumb joke.
You don't want to get involved.
One, you're mocking her for spelling the thing wrong, which I think is like a little bit of a dick move, even though it could have been proofread. 2, it's not a funny joke to I emailed them at spelling@iswrong.com. What is this, like 1993, that you think like an email address joke is funny?
I thought it was a little bit funny.
That's because you're old.
I just think it is well known and part of the joke probably on Nextdoor that she's not on Nextdoor at all, or else she wouldn't be putting flyers in my mailbox. She'd be posting it on Nextdoor.
Probably. Someone else, the other response is, certainly is an unusual spelling.
Crocodile.
Crocodile. I mean, it's not a dumb spelling.
Anyway, I'm continually on the lookout for Crocodile. I have not seen her. But our neighbors who live closer to the canal where she was seen don't let their dog out.
No, that's
don't
right.
let their dog swim anymore, which I think is actually quite smart because Crocodile is bigger.
Now, Ingo, I owe you an apology all of a sudden.
You owe me an apology?
Mm-hmm. Because before we started podcasting, you brought over the crocodile flyer.
Yeah.
You put it down next to me.
Yeah.
And I literally picked it up and I was like, why are you giving me this? And I threw it on the floor.
Yeah.
Could you hand it to me? Sorry.
I love that buildup. I would have just given it to you and given you a hard time later. but I would have been fine.
I mean, I give you a hard time on the podcast to the point that it's sort of become a meme among the friends of the squad.
It's a bit. Yeah.
It is a bit. I'm just poking fun to have a good time.
hope I know.
You better. Otherwise, I'm real abusive if you don't think it's funny. No, I'm doing this because I was curious about your hypothesis, which you also stated last night, that Peggy's not on Nextdoor. As we wanted to confirm the last name. Peggy is on Nextdoor.
Ooh, then it's a mean joke.
She posted on October 21st that says, "Miracle! ! Our cat who adopted us 2 years ago was found by his original owners who lost him 2 years ago. I want to thank everyone who responded to this post. And now I realize what a wonderful app Nextdoor is." Oh, no, I'm sorry. "And now I realize what a wonderful app Neighbors is," with a capital N. So she means Nextdoor, but she wrote Neighbors. "To place a loving pet or to discover your pet that you lost 2 years ago, I'm so happy he was found by his family." And then the original post is, "We've decided to find a new home for our beautiful cat. He showed up about 2 years ago and adopted us. He's loving and friendly, doesn't seem to shed, loves to be brushed and sit next on your lap. He goes out every night. Because we intend to start traveling, we believe he needs a new home. He's about 8 and healthy, green eyes, neutered. We think he's a Nibelung breed." I don't know about cats at all. Any interest?
Nibelungen?
Nebelung. Nebelung.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wagonarian.
Someone says he stops by our house a couple times a day. Very sweet cat. Which is interesting because they're one island over. So that would be quite a moving cat if he did that. Anyway, so basically they're like, this cat just showed up here 2 years ago and we've been taking care of it.
And so they post that and then someone goes, that's my cat.
That's my cat. We lost him 2 years ago. And so they came and got him.
It's probably the next door neighbor. And they've just been hoarding that cat for 2 years.
That's interesting. Let's see.
Peggy seems very nice. And I wasn't bothered by her posting about the crocodile. She's concerned about the crocodile.
Oh, so here's the thing. So I'm looking at all the comments now. That was just the last comment.
Yeah.
So people are talking about the cats.
This is October of last year.
Of this last year, yeah. And someone says, I'm hoping it's our boy that's been missing for 2 years, and posts a picture of clearly the same cat. and she lives on the next island over on Cudjoe Key. So the cat did make it down here. Wow. One time 2 years ago, and then
Route 1.
Yeah, it's quite a trek. And Peggy's like, hey, I'm the one who's had the cat. Give me a call. Here's my thing. And then they got reunited.
That's nice.
And so then the person who said the cat comes every day is next door neighbors with the original owner. So they're like, oh yeah, the cat's home now, and he comes over and says hi.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
So there you go.
That's a good story. And all right, fine.
So
Peggy.
Peggy used Nextdoor to get this cat, even though she didn't know it, this cat that she had been taking care of after it was lost. It got back with its owners and was like, this app is amazing.
But then went old school with the crocodile.
Yeah,
flyer.
that's her only post was the cat thing.
Well, good for Peggy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I agree. Then it's kind of mean to make fun of her on Nextdoor.
Yeah. I'm not making fun of you right now, Peggy. I mean, we all make typos.
Yep.
I'm kind of making fun of the people on Nextdoor, though.
Yep.
Elaine or whatever her name is. I probably know her. I'll probably see her out on my walk.
I listen to your podcast all the time.
That's why I change everybody's name. But not Peggy. Sorry, Peggy. I'm not saying your last name, though.
We're way too far into this. We're not re-recording it.
Oh, my God, no.
Oh, my God.
Right. Now were you going to do German Word of the Week? Can I read the poem?
Yeah.
Okay. So we got this thing. Someone sent me this thing from a beach in Florida, and it's a sign, and it says May through October, and then has a picture of a stingray.
Like a dancing stingray.
A clip art stingray dancing. Yep. And underneath in English, it says, shuffle your feet or you'll do the stingray hop. And that's because the stingrays kind of nestle themselves down in the sand.
You don't see them.
And if you're just like walking through the water, you're going to step on it, and it's going to sting you.
You're
going to
step on it top down, and then the tail whips up and hits you in the, back of the leg.
Yep. It's going to hurt. And so you're supposed to shuffle your feet as you walk through the water. So then, you'll kind of slide up on it and it'll just swim away.
You'll disturb it and it'll run away.
So underneath that, shuffle your feet, it'll do the stingray hop. It has a similar kind of thing in German, Spanish, and French.
Because German tourists are everywhere.
To be fair, they all speak very good English, but they want to be inclusive. So here is what it says. I'm going to zoom in because it's hard for me to sight read German because your words are real long. You read German different than English.
We're known for that.
Ein Schlurftanz im Sand erspart den stachelbrochenbrand.
Ja.
Ein Schlurftanz im Sand erspart den stachelbrochenbrand. So Schlurftanz and stachelbrochenbrand. That's two words.
Yeah.
So Schlurftanz is a slurp dance. Like slidey.
It's like walking, dragging your feet.
Yeah. Shuffle?
Like shuffling, but it's like if someone's schlurfing around.
Slurping around. That's exactly what it sounds like.
It's like a teenager with his hands in his pockets, like looking down, dragging his feet.
Yeah.
Like that's schlurfen is the whole attitude. But you'd be dragging your feet,
So tanz is dance. So like the shuffle-footed draggy dance, Schlurftanz.
Yeah, so I don't know if Schlurftanz is a word, but it should be if it's not. Schlurftanz would be dragging your feet around in the sand. Yeah.
And before we move on to the next word, I just want to highlight how much I like that this rhymes. Ein Schlurftanz im Sand erspart den stachelbrochenbrand.
Yeah, it's good. So whoever translated that or came up with that new German well enough to rhyme entertainingly.
And then stachelbrochenbrand. is the last word. One word.
So rochen is just a generic name for
Array.
A ray, right?
Yeah.
And stachel is a stinger. So stachelrochen is probably a name for a stingray.
Yep.
And brand is like a rash or an infection or like
abrasion.
Sonnenbrand is a sunburn. So brand
like a brand.
Brand means burn or like so stachelbrochenbrand would be a stingray burn or a stingray wound.
Yeah.
So it's a classic sort of mushed up together word. Yeah.
Stachelbrand.
Stachelbrochenbrand.
Schlurftanz I really like, and we've started using it to refer to Woods because
he schlurfs around. Yeah.
Schlurfing around. Where's Woods? You can just hear him schlurfing around.
He does not lift his back legs up.
He does not.
He
no.
schlurfs them.
Yeah. In fact, when I go trimming nails, like his middle two nails on his back feet never need to be trimmed. They're always really worn down because he drags them around.
But they're worn down from the front to the back instead of the other way around. I mean, it's like the opposite of normal wear.
Yep. And now we've got cardboard down on the floors for the construction, like it's taped down there.
Endless construction.
And so you can hear him walk everywhere because it's just like shoop, 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 slurping around on the...
The last time we had this is a throwback, right? We had St. Patrick.
It was just a year ago.
He also patted on the paper and dragged at least a foot, right?
Yeah, he wandered at night. That was one of his dementia things, was wandering at night. So he'd get up and he'd wander back and forth across it all night. Yeah, it was a little bit of a throwback for both of us.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
He was a good boy.
All right, Ingo, we have re-recorded the podcast. If your voice is not able to be heard on this one, that's too damn bad.
We're going to have a good St. Patrick's Day. Are we broadcasting next St. Patrick's Day?
We will do...
Dropkick Murphys.
Yes, but we're going to talk about next week because normally we record on Wednesdays, which is the 16th. So it'll be the day before St. Patrick's Day.
Okay, good. We can give all our secrets then.
Yeah, all of our secrets then.
It'll be green. The podcast will be green. You'll be able to tell it because it's green.
I'll make that happen.
Yeah. Why don't you just make sure my microphone's working?
Fine.
You get a little bit of abuse for that. A little bit of problem.
Hey, this one's better than the one we did last night.
I don't know. I was brilliant last night. You were just too tired to appreciate it fully.
If you're a super follower or a Patreon, let me know if you want to hear the first version, which is just me talking and then you're talking very far away, and I'll post it for the super followers if they want it.
I think you're being very nice, not just posting and being like, Ingo, why isn't your mouth on the microphone? The whole time.
I could just splice in. Ingo, put your mouth closer to the mic.
Yeah, and I'd be like, I don't know what. Because it's kind of real too. The problem is also real.
You did a great job this time.
Oh, thanks. Mm-hmm. You're just being nice. Fair enough.
I'm so nice.
I'll take it.
All right, everyone. Well, until next week, Slava Ukraini.
Yes. And
don't bite anyone unless they ask you to.
Although, frankly, there are certain dictators maybe you could just chomp.
If you get that close, there's other options.
Bite them.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.